Welcome back, everybody. If you don't live in Wyoming or Alaska, you may not know that primary elections are taking place in both of those states today, but some really interesting races are being decided, whether it be Liz Cheney's re-election or Sarah Palin's chances at grabbing that at-large seat in Alaska. One man who has great political insight on these races and others ahead of the November elections is the president of Citizens United, David Bossie. David, welcome back to the show. I wanted to ask you,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Liz Cheney's fate in Wyoming. Over on mainstream media, they are calling these races another stop on Donald Trump's tour of vengeance against these folks who were impeachers. But Liz Cheney, obviously the most high profile of those. What do you think is going to happen for her tonight?
By circumstance, I can tell by my close review of this race, especially over the last month, and the polling data that I've seen, Liz Cheney is going to lose and lose pretty substantially this evening. And you know, the mainstream media wants to call it a vengeance tour, whatever. These people came after Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump more than they love our country. They are doing damage to the Republican Party every single day. Liz Cheney wakes up every day and tries to help Nancy Pelosi retain the Speaker's gavel. She must be defeated, and she will be this evening, and then she'll be a former member of Congress, and it has been as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it seems as though that is where the polls are taking us tonight, and I think Liz Cheney is even acting as though she knows this end of her this chapter in her life is over. It's pretty clear from that. I want to take you to the big picture.
John, if I could,
please. Yep.
Well, John, let me just give you one thing. She's raised between $8 and $9 million. Okay, and she has about $7 million in the bank. Okay, it is outrageous to take donors' money. Okay, to take the donors' money that you're saying you're running for Congress in Wyoming, and really you're running for president. And you're raising this money, you're not spending it on the congressional race, and you're keeping it for some future endeavor that we all know what you're doing. So no one should be surprised when she will tomorrow as a loser. And just like many other, losing candidates, they're going to run for higher office.
Yeah, failing up. That's a big thing in politics, isn't it? It's pretty amazing. I want to ask you about this big picture. We began the year, and a good part of the year, with Republicans having a lot of momentum. Then it was a little deceleration after the Roe v. Wade reversal. But it seems as though the extraordinary historical moment last week, where President Trump's home is raided, has brought an entire new energy to not only the Republican, but the center of America. People are just disgusted what they saw. Is this an issue that carries into November?
I certainly think it does. President Trump is going to continue to talk about it. It's not going to go away. The Democrats are not going to be able to hide from this. I said the day that raid happened that it wasn't just all on FBI Director Wray. That Merrick Garland, even though the Department of Justice was throwing him under the bus, Wray under the bus, saying it was only the FBI, and the Department of Justice did not know about it. Clearly, my background, John, as you well know, serving as the chief investigator for Congress, I knew no one does this without the Attorney General's personal sign-off, and of course he had to come clean. I would go one step further, that now we are finding out that Merrick Garland knew about this and had this for weeks before he signed off on it. There is no way on God's green earth that Merrick Garland and or his staff, his senior staff who knew about this, did not communicate with somebody at the White House, potentially even the President of the United States directly. You work at the pleasure of the President as the Attorney General. You are through this type of act, you could harm his presidency permanently. This is Richard Nixon-esque activity, and so it is it's pretty amazing, actually, what for them to try to say that they did not know about this. And so I find that it begs credulity, and I think once an investigation is conducted, this is going to go all the way to the White House.
Yeah, and we know that there is so much corruption, but I can't remember whose razor it is, whether it's Occam's or Hanlon's, but the one about attributing to malice what can easily be explained by stupidity. You look at the waffling of messaging from the FBI regarding why the raid took place. First it was Presidential Records Act, then it was nuclear documents, and now it's like espionage and January 6th, or January, yeah. And no one really understands what it's about, but it does just kind of seem like they're fumbling the ball. I know that there is malevolence behind this, but it seems like they're screwing it up top to bottom, and especially when you look at the reception of the American people regarding what happened last Monday, it's not faring well.
This just reminds me of the screwed up Russia investigation, from the FISA warrants to the unmasking. They have hams on both hands. Okay, this is the definition of ham-handed. It's quite startling to think about raiding the former president's and potentially future president's home, and you didn't cross every T and dot every I and do it exactly the right way.
Yeah. It's stunning. And, you know, I talked to some former senior FBI officials, Kevin Brock among them last night, worked for Bob Mueller, said this warrant is so overly broad, it is going to get slammed in the courts. Even former G-men, former FBI men know this is a disaster that's in slow motion, but in the making right now. You mentioned Nixon earlier on, and I want to ask you about this because when you look at the actions of the last year or two, we just had Paul Manafort, you go back a few years earlier. It seems like a long line of prominent Republicans all punished in a row using the law enforcement thing. Is there an enemies list in the Obama-Biden era? Is that what this is, the weaponization of the Justice Department to take out enemies?
Well, there certainly is, and the enemies list consists of one name, Donald John Trump. And anything goes to destroy him. It doesn't matter, you know, at what lengths you have to or use the excuse that you're trying to destroy Donald Trump. Anything goes. And then secondly on the list is every single supporter of Donald John Trump. So if you raise your head above the line and you are supporting President Trump, you look at Lindsey Graham, you look at all across the political spectrum of members of the House and the Senate, governors around the country who defend Donald Trump, they all find themselves under attack. It's unbelievable, but we've just gotten so used to it after 7 years now. It's so expected, and we've got a pretty thick skin now. So I'm going to tell you right now, I think they've made a big mistake. This is going to help Republicans in November, and we're going to have a hearing here very soon to potentially uncover the affidavit, which was the underpinnings of what they did.
Very exciting.
You know, honestly, you look at the targeting of Republicans and conservatives and all these new IRS agents, and it does make you wonder if maybe we should all throw a few bones at some random Democrat campaigns just to get them to walk past our front door and our tax returns. I wanted to finish off where we started very quickly. We've got about a minute left, Dave. Lisa Murkowski, a tough primary today. I wanted to get your opinion on what you think is going to happen there up against Kelly Tshibaka.
You know, that's a much different race. Lisa Murkowski won 6 years ago in a write-in campaign. She lost the Republican nomination and won a write-in campaign. Her establishment backers created something called ranked choice voting over the last several years, and so today will be a test of that. But Kelly Tshibaka, who is President Trump's endorsed candidate in that Senate race, is going to perform very well. And somebody needs to get above 50% tonight in the race. I foresee this going forward for a runoff in about a month.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. I think that it's going to be hard to meet that 50% threshold for either one of them. Dave Bossie, we appreciate you so much. When we come back,